All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, ladies and men of prestige. Welcome back, welcome back. We have a very important story to cover today. Welcome back, welcome back. Good to see you as usual. Let me just make sure that we have some music, right? Awesome. Good. Welcome back. What are we talking about today? We're talking about stay or F off. King Charles III to Prince Harry over Meghan. This is something I wanted to cover for a long time now, but I also wanted to learn a little bit more. And this morning I stumbled into a video that gave me some confidence. Like, you know what? Maybe we can talk about this today, right? So yes, we're definitely going to be talking about this today. Now, in addition to that, I have another story that we're going to cover that has to do about staying or leaving, right? Easier said than done. Most people advise on social media is probably to leave. For the most part, people need to learn how to leave. But is it really that simple? Right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be interesting as usual. When you're coming in, please do me a favor. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Yesterday's video could do a lot more better. But the video we did with Pastor Toby Adeboyega is a hit. Another classic. But we're going to keep going because you just never know, right? You just never know. At the end of the day, as long as at least one person was able to extract some kind of lesson from it, then we're doing well. All right? Without any further ado, let's get started. All right, welcome back. Definitely shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Dodo. Shout out to Utejo Azan. Good to see you. All right, I'm gonna drop the link just anyone, just in case somebody wants to come up and co-host. Feel free to join the conversation either by chat or by calling in. All right. So definitely let's have the conversation. Either way, as long as you're participating is fine. Okay. Hit that like button as you're coming in. Make sure you hit that like button. Yes, I've pinned that link to the top. Yeah. Gracious greatness. Good to see you. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you. And of course, we have D'Souza. Good to see you, D'Souza. Good to see you. All right, good. All right, so we've got this this topic that I wanted to cover today. We've got a video I want to get into right away, and we're gonna dissect it together. I saw the video early. Then after that, then we have a story. Then we're gonna keep it short and come back tomorrow for more, right? All right. So the topic today. What did she say? It sounds like lyrics. Let me see. I can't find it. Where is it? Okay, what did he say? Gracious Greatness says, should I stay or should I go now? Sounds like it could be a song lyric. Yes, it could be a song lyric. Absolutely. All right. So now, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? First of all, how are you guys doing? How was your day? Um, I still have on my screen here that story with the woman who chased her husband until she died. Chased her husband with a side chick. Almost sound like the it sounds almost sounding very similar to Princess Diana's story, right? What was that? 1992 in the 90s. It's almost sounded like that story, right? It's crazy. Hello, Angeline. Good to see you. Right? I always tell men, don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Like all these different things that you're looking to uncover before you get married, before you get with somebody, all this defense tactics, this is what you should do. Including that is, what do you call it? Paternity tests, paternity fraud detectors. We have all kind of detectives on the internet today. If I sound a little nasal, excuse me, okay? Excuse me. I am a little bit under the weather, okay? Let me see. The Susan says, I already know I'm going to be the minority with my opinions on Meghan Harry. Are you sure? So I'm probably not going to cover what you guys are more familiar with regards to them, right? But I think I have an idea of what you're talking about. I think I'm on your side with respect to that. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure what you mean, I may be on your side. My wife and I have some weird ass opinion about them too. I call them weird because it's not most people, it's not majority's opinion on them. But that's going to be probably besides the point that I want to raise today with regards to Prince Harry. But we'll find out. Immediately the Queen died, I said I pity only Meghan. She would choose being alive for her kids or divorce Harry and remain alive. Let me think about that. She would choose being alive for her kids. So what are you trying to say? Are you saying the Queen was protecting her? Is that what you're saying, Angeline? Was the Queen actively protecting her? Yeah. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. Good to see you, Patricia Black. Welcome. All right, so the whole royalty thing is a big deal. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? It's a big deal anywhere you go in the world, especially with United Kingdom. Okay, it's a big deal. It is what it is, right? They get a lot of attention, and the level of attention that they get, a normal human being cannot handle it. Okay, they just can't. It is what it is, if you're born into it, you have better chance, right? If you're not exactly born into it, if you mistakenly become a queen like Queen Elizabeth, it can be bad. That's one of the reasons why she's getting a lot of praise, because she wasn't supposed to be the queen. The father wasn't supposed to be the king, right? So a lot of people continue to give her a lot of grace, assessing her life. But then it looks like there was an era, maybe in the 80s, when she received her own dose of what the tabloids and the media can do to people with such status, right? So it's not. That's why when people start to compare us to celebrities and stuff like this, it's apples and oranges, right? It's not exactly accurate. Okay, it's not exactly a good comparison, especially the way people use it. At the end of the day, human beings, we have a lot more in common than we like to admit to. Right? So anytime somebody says, oh, everyone is different, it's subjective, I have a tendency to say,
stop the cap.
Right? We have a lot more in common than we like to admit. Okay? There's some behaviors that's just, if you look close enough, it's a pattern. You can see where some things are going to lead to and where some other things are not going to lead to. All right. So anyway, let's get into the video. Let me just go ahead and turn off the. Then I'm going to pause the video at the intervals and then talk about the lessons that I really feel like we should extract out of this. But if you have any inputs in terms of how you feel about Meghan, especially Meghan, right? The black girl, right? Let me know in the chat. I want to know what your thoughts are. You know, I definitely want to know what your thoughts are, and then we'll take it from there, right? So let me see here. Let me just get that to the beginning, and then we're gonna watch that together. Angeline says, even though she never came out in her support, the royal name could have been in the news for wrong reasons. Now that she is by Charles doesn't seem someone who wants to cover up. We're going to talk about that. That's an interesting part of it. We're going to talk about Charles, right? I mean, Charles was getting frustrated with just writing the wrong date. Like, he was cursing just because he wrote the wrong date on the paper. So I'm not sure if Charles is able to handle, even as a grown 78-year-old, 75-year-old man or whatever. But that's a good point. Doesn't seem someone wants to cover up. No, Charles is like your own, right? You're born like myself because he had his own struggles, right? So I haven't gotten a chance to watch The Crown. My wife did, and she talked about how Charles was also raised. King Charles, how he was raised, right? But that's a good point. I don't think he has time to cover up anything for anybody or protect anyone. They live their life. I live my life. God bless them. Me, I just day by day. I'm indifferent about them. Thank you, sir. I like that. Except this lesson we'll go extract today, Sha. First time here and I'm loving it. Hey, Nurse Rosie, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Thank you. Bishop brought me here. Bishop, the house owner. Ha, wahala. Bishop, wahala. Bishop is a gift that keeps giving, huh? Edward advocated because he wanted a life with Mrs. Wallace. That's the divorcee, right? Right? From what, 200 years ago? Forcing Queen Elizabeth's dad to become king, and the rest is history. Yes. Correct. That's correct. That's the story I got. Right? King Charles III just the curse because of simple mistake. Guy say this bloody thing. I'm like, bloody what? Anyway. Hello D Love. Good to see you. All right, so let's get into this video, and then the lessons we're gonna get out of this is bigger than this guy here, but I think it was some good lessons as related to relationships that we can get out of it, and I think we can pay attention to some of it, right? So let's get going.
That was the start of a learning journey for me. I became aware that I'd been living in a bubble within this family, within this institution. And I was sort of almost trapped in a thought process or a mindset.
All right. Yeah. I'm just going to have to pause like that as we get through it. What's the first thing you said? He became aware. He was living in a bubble. All of us have some kind of bubble that we live in. All of us. Okay? All of us have some kind of bubble that we live in. Let's be aware of that. All you need to be is just be aware of that. That way you can always check your pulse and say, hey, let me make sure I'm not operating out of my bubble. And I was just talking to my cousin. He said, I want to tell the truth. I said, you're 25 years old. This world has existed for how many thousands of years now? Hundreds of thousands of years or millions of years, who knows, right? What truth could you possibly discover in 25 years? Only 7 years of it, you've been an adult. What truth do you know? That is probably not just your own perspective. Based on what? Your religion, culture, how you were raised. What truth exactly do you know? The point here is that we all are inside some kind of bubble, especially them. But all of us, we're inside some kind of bubble. You need to be aware of that. That way, sometimes when things are not working out, you're able to say, let me look a little closer. Maybe I can't see something. There's always a blind spot. Let's keep going.
Within the first 8 days of our relationship being made public was when it said Harry's girl almost straight out of Compton.
So how old is Prince Harry? Anybody can check for me really quickly. This guy said within 8 days of him dating as a full-blown adult, he found out for the first time that black people exist. Think about that for a second. Let that sink. Okay? No, never mind that it's straight out of Compton headline thing. Never mind that. It's not really that deep. What is even deeper is the fact that, wait, black people have a different type of struggle, huh? Right? Let's keep going.
And that her exotic DNA will be thickening the royal blood. We would get followed.
The resulting DNA, the rich and exotic DNA, what did he just say? Will be thicker than raw blood? I'm going to have to rewind that a little bit.
DNA will be thickening. DNA will be thick, almost straight out of Compton. And that her exotic DNA will
Exotic DNA
be thickening the royal blood. We would get
will be
followed,
thicker.
photographed, chased, harassed.
And this is the most racist thing he's ever heard in his life. Right? The most racist thing he's ever heard in his life. Oh, he's 38. He's 38 years old. Thank you for that. All right? He's just figuring it out for the first time ever. We all live in a bubble. You live in your own bubble, whatever that your ideology is that you hold on to strongly, and no one is non-negotiable, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a product of your bubble, right? That may not be a bad thing, by the way, but when it's bad, it's really, really bad. Okay? When it's bad, it's really, really bad. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Clicking of cameras and the flashes of cameras makes my blood boil. It makes me angry. It takes me back to what happened to my mum and what I experienced when I was a kid.
That's enough.
But it went to a whole new depth.
All right, so let's talk about that really quickly. It says it makes, when he sees the headlines, it sounds like, right? It makes his blood boil, and it takes him back to what he experienced as a kid. When Princess Diana, the mother, was being hunted down the streets of UK, right? What's the relationship between this and what we're talking about? Sometimes we say women don't forget. I was having a conversation this morning, and somebody, oh yeah, there's a way you can, like she won't bring it up again, and and they said, oh, there's a way you apologize, and then she will never bring up the issue again. I said, no, I disagree 100%. For most people, she will bring up the issues again. It's just a reality. Women will bring up the issue, that atrocity, your misbehavior 5 years ago, she will bring it up again, right? Now, if you want her to stop bringing it up, it's about how you respond to it, right? How do you respond to it? we have to go back to what she's bringing up. If that's not taken care of, she will keep bringing it up again, especially if you're overreacting to it. It's not just women, it's all of us, right? But how we show up as men and women is different, of course, right? The stories can be different from people to people. How we tell the stories, how we express ourselves are different for many reasons. Two of them being biology, and then the other one is probably survival, social construct. It's just different. But she will bring it up again, especially if you do something that reminds her, right, of what you did 5 years ago. She will bring it up again, right? No, but she should stop. She should stop bringing that up, right? So especially for somebody that lives in a bubble but remembers, he has that memory of what happened to the mother 1 year after divorce. She got killed because she was being chased down the street by a paparazzi, whatever that is, right? And as a teenager, watched his mother being buried. You really think that's just gonna go away? Why? Because it's intentional? Of course not. So now that he found himself in this kind of situation, is bringing up those emotions over and over again, right? So let's keep going.
With not just traditional media, but also social media platforms as well. I felt completely helpless. I thought my family would help, but every single ask, request, warning, whatever it is, just got met with total silence or total neglect.
He thought his family would help. He thought his family would help. There's one word that describes that in our relationships. Expectations. Expectations. Right? Don't we all have expectations? We do, right? Sometimes we have so much expectations we don't know what to do with them. Except to just say it over and over again. I hope that your future husband and future wife will get it. Don't come around me with that bullshit if you don't get like this. These are my expectations and my boundaries. They are what they are. They're non-negotiable, right? How does that work? How did that work out for Prince Harry? They were met with total neglect, right? What was the words he used?
Ask, request, warning, whatever it is, just got met with total silence or total neglect.
Total silence and total neglect. Why? 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 Always ask why. Lead with why. End with why. Purpose. Why? Why? Why is it that all of these people don't care about him, right? Have you ever found yourself in a position where you feel like no one cares about you? You feel like you've lost total control, right? Why would these people? Because they had their own agenda. Agenda must agenda. They had their own vested interest. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a full-blown operation. How many employees follows this whole royalty thing in UK? Like how many people work for them, right? And the whole monarchy thing. How many? Somebody Google that up for me. I'm sure it's probably no less than 300 people that work for the monarchy. And this one man, even though it's one of the, what should we call them? Like the puppets, the characters, right? The main characters, right? Even though it's one of them, they really are not in control of their own lives, right? If you have such allegations, you have to say who it was. No, the way in which Diana brought him up, but them up, they knew black people existed. Oh yeah, not literally. I didn't mean literally. You know, but the plight of the black man. You really think they knew? They might know as knowledge. Did they really have an idea? You didn't believe when he said, what was the word he used? He was in a bubble. Do you know what it means to be in a bubble? That means you can see what's going on, but it's not really landing. You don't know what you don't know. You can't relate. Right? Make I go use the bubbles. Well, I go run bubble bath. Abi, that's a good bubble to be in, by the way. Meghan is using his trauma against him. That's an interesting one. Okay. See, there's multiple angles to this. Right? So, never mind that he's in the bubble. A grown man is being taught that he has trauma. Right? They're going to therapy. Maybe some people will say, well, what do you need therapy for? You're royalty. What do you need therapy for? What do you need that for? You have everything you need, right? You have everything you need in life. Does he? These are questions, right? Does he really have everything he needs? Do we know what he needs as an individual, right? And how do we measure what he needs? Is that based on material things? The fact that, if he wants somebody to bubble bath him, what about the part that he doesn't really control his own schedule, right? Or maybe he controls the schedule, but not really. He has to wake up and go every day for the rest of his life. Are those all lies when it comes to the kids, when it comes to the prince and princesses? Let's keep going.
We spent 4 years trying to make it work. We did everything that we possibly could to stay there and carry on doing the role and doing the job. But Meghan was struggling.
I think he admitted that. Meghan was struggling. Now, for all the gentlemen listening to me, if a wife you love is struggling, right? That usually means you're struggling, right? That becomes your problem, right? If your partner has a problem, that becomes your problem effectively. Especially when we're talking about emotional issues. Stuff that they don't really feel in control about. I'm talking about your wife that has kids for you, that's helping you build a family. I'm not talking about the wife you don't care about. Right? So when you say Meghan is using his trauma against him, I need some context. Maybe you're going to drop that for me. Because again, we get this all the time, even in the in-law relationships, right? In a marriage, in-law relationships. It is our wife's fault. The wife won't let us come over anymore. Oh, no. They don't usually say that about the husband, but they say that about the wife. They will basically blame the wife for everything. Right? Especially the online in-laws. All of Will Smith online in-laws, they blamed Jada Pinkett Smith for the slap that we all clearly saw that it was Will Smith who landed it on Chris Rock's face. We blame the wife for it. We spend the most time talking about the wife. Or because she looked a certain type of way. Right? I'm just saying. It's my observation, right? Let's keep going.
I think people have seen the photograph of us, squeezing each other's hands as we walked into the Royal Albert Hall in London for a charity event. She was 6 months pregnant at the time. What perhaps people don't understand is earlier that evening, Meghan decided to share with me the suicidal thoughts and the practicalities of how she was going to end her life.
All right. I think we've heard enough. Not really. I got more, right? Now, think about it. I'm the husband. My wife is going through this. I have 2 sisters who feels like my wife is manipulating me. I think it's natural that they feel that way because they're not the one that go into bed with us every night. I think they're still guilty of not having the foresight to see beyond what they can see. Because sometimes it's the husband who knows what is really going on inside, right? But the reality is that when you live with a person, when you're living with a person, you get to know more about what they're going through internally, emotionally, spiritually, right? that you may not necessarily be privileged to share with the world, like your sisters, your siblings you grew up with. They are now outsiders, effectively. They are now outsiders. They are now extended family, right? But they will never see it. For me, I don't think it's ever necessary for me to have to explain myself to my sisters, my in-laws, my online in-laws. We're just gonna have to deal with that. Well, it's also easier said than done, because that's a lot of weight I'm carrying. I really want to mansplain this situation to everybody. I'm in the middle. No, she's not manipulating me. This is me. This is my wife, my child. She's carrying my child for 6 months. Right? So not only does she feel what she feels, I don't feel what she feels, but I feel a different set of emotions, right? That I feel like I've lost control. I'm not in control. I feel like helpless. That was his words. I think it's believable. I think it's believable. Now, does Meghan have her own issues? I think so. I think so. But I'm left with no other choice than to hold the man accountable for the words that are coming out of his own mouth. Let's keep going.
The scariest thing for her was her clarity of thought. She hadn't lost it. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't self-medicating, be it through pills or through alcohol. She was absolutely sober. She was completely sane. Yet, in the quiet of night, these thoughts woke her up.
So I can't front that a part of me feels like, why would you go into the middle of that family knowing that it's a whole monarchy, royalty in the biggest way this mankind has ever seen, to try to change narrative or inject woke narratives into that situation? Why would you do that? What are you trying to do exactly? Like, what business do you have in that place? If you can't be with the guy the way they are, why would you go there? Yeah, a part of me feels like I should ask Meghan those questions, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. Let me see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Yeah, but his bubble and words apart, PTSD. Does he have PTSD? Is he diagnosed with that? Because I know they were also part of the military, right? Or you're talking about PTSD, just the trauma of being in that family, right? All right. I see that a lot of people are already asking D'Souza the question. She is always the victim. In all our stories, family, see, that's not a good thing. If somebody's always portraying themselves as the victim, that's also a red flag for me. Something doesn't seem right. Yeah, that's always a red flag for me as well. I understand. Angeline says, I don't think so. Nurse Rosa, she ain't helping him. What? Helping, you mean Prince Harry? Oh. Let's see. When you expect so much from people who let you down, it can cause a lot of emotional distress to one's intellect. Yes, expectations. There are 2 steps to expectations that I always share with people. Manage your expectations and give the people you love the freedom to express their expectations without holding yourself hostage to fulfilling them. But manage your own expectations. They just every form of scriptures you have out there, any Bible or any kind of Quran will tell you that you can't really set yourself up like that with expectations from human beings. Human beings have limitations on what they can do for you, especially with regards to reciprocating what you did for them. Since I did this, they should at least be all that stuff. Throw that stuff out the window. Okay, the universe will reward you accordingly. Many times it's not going to come directly from whoever you've done any good for. D'Souza, well, I don't know much about her family or friends. Well, she's straight out of Compton. I guess that part. Right? Patricia, maybe you're right. That's also a possibility. Okay, so helping him. But he's the man. He's the guy with all the power, right? Ladies, what do you mean by helping him? With what? I don't trust her. Harry missed the last years of his grandparents. He's gonna have regrets. That's a good point. Because that's a good point. Because there are, what they call it, eloping? People that elope. I always think it's a terrible idea. I always think it's a terrible idea to elope. Why? Because you're in love, you want to elope? What about your sense of identity? Which one do you think is greater, your sense of identity or the fact that you're in love in the last few years? Which one do you think is greater? Which one do you think has the power to haunt you for the rest of your life with regrets? What do you think if they end up in divorce, which happened to his father? Right? For similar reasons too, I think, because Princess Diana was also a real princess, right? No, actually, I don't think so. I think I missed that part out, right? But the point is that the guy had a side chick who is now the queen consort, right? Right? So is it possible they could repeat the same story? What if that repeats itself, right? What do you think is going to be the receiving end of that blame? Do you think this guy can turn around and blame Meghan? It's possible. It's very, very possible. But listening to him right now, he sounds like a very healthy guy. A guy who is approached, Also, it's not far-fetched to say that the weight that being a part of the monarchy brings on you is just a lot. That's not far-fetched, right? Am I on the fence a little bit? I am. You guys are confusing me. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going.
The thing that stopped her from seeing it through was how unfair it would be on me. After everything that had happened to my mum, and to now be put in a position of losing another woman in my life, with a baby inside of her, our baby, I'm somewhat ashamed of the way that I dealt with it. And of course, because of the system that we were in and the responsibilities and the duties that we had.
Wait, this was the playboy, right? This was the playboy among the two, right? Do you really think his personality is that kind of guy that would be, for no good reason, just be worshiping a woman, his woman? Is that how you think of him? You really think it's possible for him not to be thinking this through by himself, and he's just being manipulated by Meghan? Is that what we're trying to say right now? I don't think so. I really do not think so. I don't think so. I think what he's saying is something that a lot of people deal with. Listen, as a man, I feel a natural responsibility to take care of my wife, especially when she's carrying my baby, and especially if I feel like she's being attacked by my family. That could be a real thing. Especially if we're talking about the greatest in all ramification of all families with extreme powers, right? Extreme powers, right? Yeah, I don't know. I know. I think he knows what he's talking about. I think it's real. And I think that there's been a few examples. For example, King Charles was kind of like that, right? But their grandfather, their great grand uncle, the one that married the divorcee from America, was also that kind of person who said, you know what? No, I'm not interested. I want to marry who I want to marry. Now, I just feel very strongly like the idea of eloping is bad. But this wasn't exactly eloping. They've been married. They tried to make it work for 4 years. There's no such thing as making anything work in that operation. There's no such thing. You follow the program. You're supposed to be over here on this day. You're supposed to be in Africa. You're going to Australia on this day, right? That's the way it works, right? Let's keep going.
We had a quick cuddle, and then we had to get changed, and I had to jump in a convoy with a police escort and drive to the Royal Albert Hall for a charity event, and then step out into a wall of cameras and pretend as though everything's okay.
Have you ever found yourself that way? You have to pretend like all is okay. I think we all do that to an extent, right? You don't know what people are going through. They look good on the outside, right? Slay mama, handsome man who is always dressed up, clean, smell nice, but you don't know what people are going through. But so if you've ever experienced that, think about it at that level where you had a quick cuddle in the car and then you had to jump out and take all these cameras in your face and pretend like everything is okay. It's a lot. Let's not cap. It's a lot. Let's see what you ladies and gentlemen of procedure are talking about. Let's see. Let me get through the comments. Meghan needs to mature though, to be honest. Okay. I have nothing against her. Well, I don't think she has any experience. Not as a married woman, right? I love her, and she's probably one of these woke people too, right? I love her and Harry a lot, but she needs to know when to shush. Yeah. Because the same people that empathize with you will eventually turn against you if everything is about, let's call it out. You remember what I was saying about telling the truth, we're just going to call it out. Yeah, that can backfire really badly. Remember what I said yesterday about people that are blunt speakers? I just tell the truth. You're going to hurt yourself. With that attitude, you're going to hurt yourself. There's no way around it. You're going to hurt yourself. You're giving way too much than you're receiving with your mouth. Right? He missed his grandparents passing precious time that he could have been spending with them. I am partly due to his own choices. It's always the man's choice. And he said that actually here, and you see how this whole idea flips on the end as well in a few minutes when we'll continue the video. Her past is very interesting, and it's always the same ending. Oh, how old is she? Like 35? 33? She has some past? Well, she's a celebrity. She was an actress, right? She's an actress, right? Or was an actress. So she's lived that modern woman lifestyle, huh? Is that what we're saying here? Anyway, the wrong thing a man will have in his life is a manipulative woman. Yes, I agree. I agree that manipulative women exist. Okay? As a wife, please, that man will go crazy. Yeah, because again, his identity is the monarchy and the royalty. That's majority of his life. No matter what it looks like in the past few years, he's gotten comfortable in that skin. That, in fact, that's probably all he knows. That's why I said earlier, being in your bubble is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing by itself, right? So the idea that I'm Meghan Markle, I could just come in there and save him, put a cape on and save this man, that's probably unrealistic. Because whatever in-love experience you guys are having for the past few years is probably not going to outweigh his identity as a prince. But we shall see, right? Let's see. Patricia Black says, it's the way you do things why people wouldn't ignore you. I don't think they handled the situations correctly. And for an old network, it's hard. Yes, so I believe that he felt what he felt. Like he felt like it was complete neglect and silence. But there's also, when you're in this kind of operation, there's a process. A lot of people interpret process as silent or silence, right? A lot of people interpret patience as silence or as being dormant, right? And that's not necessarily true, right? So you can only imagine that in the monarchy, there's a process. If you said these are my concerns, there's a process that has to go through. And yes, there will be politics. I don't mean politics as in parliamentary politics, just being human, right? Yes, people have their own agenda, right? People have their own vested interest on why and how they address issues, right? But being a man, you understand there's a process, and you keep fighting, you keep advocating for what you believe in for as long as it's going to take, right? So I think there may be some point to that they may have mishandled issues. It doesn't matter where you go. The Oprah they went to talk to, she probably has the same type of operation in that big little empire she has. There's a process. If you have an issue and you're a entry level type of employee in the Oprah network, there's a process it has to go through, right? But is Prince Harry entry level? Well, she has a wife. When they're trying to figure out all of this different attention, the attention they're getting from the media, they're trying to figure all of that out. Yes, it's possible that he was interpreting impatience as silence and neglect. Right? It's possible. Let's see. Some people will never stop until they see the end of Meghan. Uteojo. And as for Harry, the only crime he has committed is to marry a black girl. I have to be honest with you, it's in so many ways it looks like that. But again, it's not far-fetched. You know? Even down there in Nigeria, you go across the street to go marry a certain type of girl that doesn't match up to the status of the family. It causes issues, man. Right? That's not cap. It causes serious issues. So how much more we're talking about white people to random black girl, the biggest white monarchy ever that exists. Let's not pretend like that's not going to cause an issue. Right? I'm saying that to those of you that feel like Meghan is manipulative and all of these different things. At some point, something has to change. The dynamics of how things work has to change. Right? I was watching yesterday for the first time. I think it was Queen Elizabeth who wrote it or put it there that they have to call the wife of the king a queen. It wasn't used. It never used to be like that. I'm sure there was some pushback. So it's not just this issue. If for the first time a prince is going to marry a black girl, am I justifying it? No, I'm just telling you that's the reality. That's going to create hiccups. It doesn't have any meaning to him. He can't relate. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. At least he couldn't. He still can't. So let's not like even up till now, right? Let's be careful, right? Right? Let's be careful. He still can't relate, right? Let's keep playing it a little bit.
There wasn't an option to say, you know what, tonight we're not going to go. Because just imagine the stories that come from that. While my wife and I were in those chairs, gripping each other's hand, the moment the lights go down, Meghan starts crying. I'm feeling sorry for her, but I'm also really angry with myself that we're stuck in this situation. I was ashamed that it got this bad.
Did you see that? There's actually a video right there of him looking at her. It looks like exactly what he's describing. Right? Or maybe you don't believe it. This girl is just using this crocodile tears to manipulate him. Right? Is that what's going on right now? Let's keep going.
I was ashamed to go to my family. Because to be honest with you, like a lot of other people my age can probably relate to, I know that I'm not going to get from my family what I need.
He keeps saying that what he needs, it's not necessarily a thing. It's emotions. It's emotional. What he needs is maybe acknowledgement. Sometimes all you need is just an acknowledgement, not the answer. We could get to the answer later. Just acknowledge that I feel a certain type of way, right? Even if you don't understand it. Sometimes that's all we need. Especially sometimes that's what your woman needs. Just to feel heard. Just to feel like I'm not just some invincible, nagging, complaining, manipulative woman, right? In your world. Sometimes that's all they need. Just acknowledge, like, I understand. I hear you. I hear you. Let me think about that. Sometimes that's all people need. So when you say need like that, it's not necessarily a direct answer. There's a level of emotional turmoil that they were going through with the new baby and all that kind of stuff. And if you can't relate, I understand. But when you go through that kind of stuff, you will know. He just wants to be seen. You just want to know that somebody cares. You just want to feel like somebody cares. You don't even care if they actually care or not. You just want to feel it. Yeah, it's a complicated thing, right? When it comes to needs and wants, let us understand that we're looking at him from our perspective, and our mindset doesn't mean his life is a bed of roses. Nurse Rosie, you would think I read what you're about to say. It's kind of interesting that that's exactly what I was just talking about. Yes, you're absolutely correct. Remember, we all live in our own little bubble, and we're probably judging from our own little bubble, right? Sometimes our bubble is what we've seen in the news about people. We still don't know what's going on inside, right? Why should you care? Because it helps your judgment abilities. It helps you to groom your own discernment abilities. Being able to just know how to slow down and not be so quick to judge, right? Unfortunately, that's what they are born into, and instead of duty, unless a step aside. Yeah. But we know that today people are making choices to say, fuck that duty shit. I'm going this direction. People are doing that with marriages, with relationships. I'm not talking to my father for the next 3-5 years. Even if he dies in the middle of it, right? People do that nowadays. It's terrible. But people have choices, is the point. Right? Sometimes people feel like they're about to be smothered to death, and the only choice they are left with is to run as far as possible. And just judging them doesn't help anything.
I then had a son who I'd far rather be solely focused on, rather than every time I look in his eyes, wondering whether my wife is going to end up like my mother and I'm going to have to look after him myself. That was one of the biggest reasons to leave. Feeling, and I'm going to have to look after him myself.
So again, his mind is flashing what he is already seen before in his face. Like, is this going to happen again? Let me tell you something. The mind it's a delicate thing. All you have to say is saying the wrong word, and a person can suffer for the rest of their life just because the mind receives it and interprets it based off of past traumas. You know, it can get very, very messy from there. You know? So he has that imprint on his brain of what happened to his mother. And his biggest fear that the same story will repeat itself. If you look further into the past, the lineage of that family, you will see very similar events. It's not exactly new that some of them can't handle the kind of fame and the pressure that the attention brings to them. Right? Unfortunately, that's what they're born into. Yeah, it was a new world to her. Of course, she would struggle. Yeah, that makes sense. 32 people with 11 likes. Let's support our brother. Y'all hit the like button. Of course, Nurse Rosie, of course. Thank you so much for that. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. Thank you. Hit that like button. Let's get it going. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Rosie. Patricia, blog, if it's how we deal with it. We can only speculate. Yes. Hello, Esther. Good morning to you. She already had an exit plan. You already have this thing laid out, D'Souza. The sweet Hollywood life with Harry's famous friends. Wow, that's interesting. D'Souza, you sound like what was her name? When we did the Pastor Toby's platform, what's her name? Finer Things. The young lady that camed up with me. She had her own little theory on what happened, how the authority are using Daddy Freeze against Pastor Toby and the Hush Puppies, right? That's interesting. She had an exit plan. Okay. Let's see here. Absolutely, and it's very restrained environment. D-Love. Can you imagine being followed everywhere? Press, family, social media is too much. Some of you don't even want to be followed around the house by your husband. You just want a little space sometimes. Your own little quiet time. You call it, I'm not in the mood. Some of you, right? So anyway, let's keep going.
That was one of the biggest reasons to leave. Feeling trapped and feeling controlled through fear, both by the media and by the system itself, which never encouraged the talking about this kind of trauma. But certainly now, I will never be bullied into silence. One of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in life is you've sometimes got to go back and to deal with really uncomfortable situations and to be able to process it in order to be able to heal. For me, therapy has equipped me to be able to take on anything. That's why I'm here now.
So this is the part where people will say therapy, duty and responsibility. What do you mean therapy? Duty and responsibility. What do you need therapy for? That's that woke shit, right? Who needs therapy? All these people always trying to explain everything. You're royalty. You are a prince. You show up, you serve, and we continue to honor you. Put this damn decorations on and let's get to work. Right? Is that this part? If that's how you feel?
Oh, you're right.
But that's not the reality anymore. People feel now. People need to be happy now. Why? Because they have choices. Maybe it's part of the downside of the soft life that we found ourselves in, right? People are not strong anymore. They're too fickle. The people are just, they always, what's the word that we tend to use? Everyone is sensitive now. Everyone is sensitive. And that's our problems. You're right. But that's our reality. You have to learn how to navigate that. It's not enough to shame people, because that's not going to work either. You're going to end up with some of these people. They're too sensitive. Before you say one word, they're like, oh, my feelings are hurt. I identify as my feelings are hurt. Right? Anyway, let's get through some of let me see what you guys are talking about. Let's see here. So yeah, I don't think Meghan is innocent, but I don't think she's also deliberate. I think she's a product of the society we're in today. It is what it is, I think she's just a product of this society. Her life with Harry in the US seems much more fun than Kate's in the UK. Money and freedom. See, we can't judge her for that. Well, actually, we can if that's true. That's terrible if that's what she went out there to do. Sometimes the way they address the issues make me want to question the motives like that. But ultimately, I think it makes sense that that boy probably grew up in the pressure he didn't really like. He wasn't that kind of guy. Like you said, it's a playboy who had friends in Hollywood. I think he always had access to Hollywood and all the superstars around the world as well, right? He was that kind of guy, right? He wasn't like Prince William, right? People need to know that love is a very flaky energy. You go regret eloping later. Yes, so that's precisely why, yeah, because it's short term too. You don't even know yourself to be doing such moves, but people still do it because of how they feel in the moment. It usually doesn't last, Meghan is the dominant one in this marriage. What are you trying to say? She's the masculine one. Diana's interview about her kids, a must watch. William got the brain. Wow. I want to see that. That may be a good one to watch. This is different, brother. It's not just love. This Meghan is his wife and mother of his children. Yes, I agree. He's building a life with her. Bible say leave to cleave. Leave to cleave. Precisely. I am 100% with you on that, Quincy. 100%. And I think people watered that down. In-laws watered that down. It's the wife's fault. In fact, the online in-laws are worse. But we're talking about the wife. We're talking about the wife, right? So no, you're absolutely correct, Quincy. It's different. This is not just love. This is more so love as duty now. And in my opinion, his duty is first to his family, and then extended family after that. But we know that the rules changes when you get into that monarchy, right? It's about the duty of the collective of the monarchy. But he's saying, I don't want that. I don't want that. And he chose to leave. Right? What if he didn't leave and then we heard the terrible news about him later on, that some terrible self-deletion news, something stupid like that? What about that? Would we prefer that? Let's continue the video.
That's why my wife is here now. That feeling of being trapped within the family there was no option to leave. Eventually, when I made that decision for my family, I was still told, you can't do this. I was like, well, how bad does it have to get until I am allowed to do this? Well, she was going to end her life. It shouldn't have to get to.
So let me guess. She's the one that told him that. And he's just repeating it like a puppet. Is that the theory? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think this guy is authentic. I understand why it can come off that way, but I want you to see that understanding also and translate that to in-law marriage relationships. There's a reason why the monster in-laws are undefeated. Right? It doesn't matter. The monster in-laws, quote unquote, the mother-in-laws, it doesn't matter how much you told yourself as a mother-in-law, I will never be that guy. You are going to be that guy if you have sons. It's a given. The question is that how far are you going to go before you catch yourself and say, wait, I just became my own enemy. Right? There's a reason why they exist. Sister-in-laws, mother-in-laws, brother-in-laws, why they antagonize the wife. This is consistent. It's consistent. You can hear these stories all around the world. I think we're just all being online in-laws. This girl is not perfect. There's no way she's perfect. Just like no wife is ever perfect. But I think this guy is authentic. I don't think all of this is scripted by some crocodile tears. I don't think so. Absolutely not. So what he is the guy. He's still a human. He was shielded all his life. Yeah. And it's okay that Prince William doesn't feel the same way. You see siblings like that all the time. You'll notice that most middle child, they feel differently from the last or the firstborn. Right? Bottom line is that there's differences on how they feel or how they received, how they were treated when they were children. Their experiences, even though in the same picture, are different. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. You see, this eloping matter, I couldn't be where I am today if I agreed to go ahead with it. I thank God I stood my ground. Wait, Angeline, what do you mean? You refused to elope with somebody? Or you eloped with somebody and you stood your ground? If Meghan divorces him tomorrow, where would he go? He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Yeah. This guy's royalty regardless. He's just not going to do all the ceremonial stuff. Like yesterday, he couldn't salute some people, something like that. You know, while he was walking in the procession with the family. Yeah, it's neither here nor there. Just the ceremonial stuff. Probably a lot more too, you know, but you know what I mean, right? All right. He's a decent guy, and I have so much respect for him for taking his family away from such toxicity. Hey, Kisata, good to see you. He's a clear definition of a real man. All right. Not the ladies trying to tell us what a real man is. I guess you guys are the audience. You can tell us what you feel as a real man, right? But I agree with that, actually. You know, sometimes you have to make very tough choices as a man. It's easier said than done, always. Anything I tell you on this platform is always easier said than done. But they are often the right move that you need to make for your own mental health, for your own sanity, to protect your own family. The last thing you're looking for is the world's approval. Okay? Oftentimes, there's a divide. People feel like you shouldn't do it. Some people feel like, yes, you did the right thing. So guess what? You're going to have to be a man, have your own core, and make a decision. Make a choice. But also remember that choices come with consequences. And you should be okay with that as a man. William is a butler. He bottles everything up. Maybe he's a narcissist. Sucks it up and gets on it. Actually, that's not necessarily true. Everyone's threshold is different. How everyone receives the same experience is different from people to people. He's probably all cool with it. It's okay. Don't be that surprised that he's okay with something that the next person is not okay with. Don't be that surprised. What you need to understand from that is that every individual has their own unique experiences, even in the same picture. Okay? Sucks it up and gets on with it. But Harry is an open book. What you see is what you get, period. While that sounds beautiful right now, that can also be a destructive behavior. Like, I'm just going to tell everyone the truth. You can also self-destruct, right? But if it's you and you're making a choice and it's a choice you want and you're ready to live with the consequences, no judgment, no condemnation. Knock yourself the F out. Do what you got to do. Because after all, it's your own life. All I ask you is to understand that with the C, the choice, there's another C, consequences. It can be positive, it can be negative, and you have to be ready to live with that. It was different. Charles didn't marry Diana for love. She was a fresh woman. Okay, thank you for correcting me on that. I think you were correcting me. It wasn't the playboy of the two. Okay, it was different. Okay, yeah. Meghan was previously married to a man by the name of Trevor. Wait. So she's a divorcee? Is that what you're telling me right now? She's a divorcee? So I'm right. Some of these stories are repeating themselves. Well, he's not really in the line. He's not going to become the king, right? But he's a prince. He's holding a very important office as well, right? Let's continue the video.
To that. Do I have any regrets? Yeah, my biggest regret is not making more of a stance earlier on in my relationship with my wife and calling out the racism when I did. History was repeating itself.
There you go. History was repeating itself. It's not the first time. It's not the first time. At least based on his interpretation. So she was married, 41 years old. Is she older? D'Souza, I'm starting to feel how you feel. Is she older than him? This is really looking like a Hollywood couple type of thing. Wow. If I were Meghan with the drama, I could have taken my husband out of the place. We are facing rejection. But if Meghan did this out of selfish interest and not to help him, God have mercy on her. I don't think she's capable of doing that. It's like saying, oh, my mother made me dump that girl. My mother made me divorce my wife. That's the stupidest shit ever to say. Where is your masculine frame? Where is your masculine frame? Your mother can influence you. She could be a catalyst. You made the decision. The same thing with the idea that a woman made me do it. She manipulated me. Okay, she manipulated you. You still have to take responsibility, full responsibility, especially as a man, for your actions. You're not going to get away with that excuse. So the idea that Meghan just goes there, if it was that easy, I have a feeling that they will. These people are powerful. They can make her disappear. I don't think it was that simple that she's just manipulating him to take royalty out of the. No, I don't think so. I don't think it was that easy. If it's purely emotional, maybe I'll yield a little bit. Like, okay, purely emotional. She has a way of saying what she said to make it happen, and this guy is just a simp who followed the woman. Yeah, maybe, but not. But still, he still has to take responsibility for that. Okay. Being in the public eye was not for him by the sounds. No, it wasn't. Based on this video, right? Shout out to Adiola Fayon. I got this video. I stole this video from her because I was looking for the video from more original source, but we made it happen. They will buy the wife just like they buy the mama. Thank you, Kisata. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It wasn't that simple. It wasn't that simple. If she was just outrightly trying to manipulate, and yes, these people are that powerful. So I don't think so. I don't think so. And I'm not saying they buy the mama either. I don't think that was documented anywhere, but I know exactly what you mean, Kisata. Yes, but how do you get experience? That's what he said. We are told to choose our battles. We can't fight all the battles and expect to win all the wars fight. Yes. When you're in a position, you observe your surrounding, how people react to you, how people treat you. Yes. Hey, Buki Ade, good to see you. My problem is that I don't know how to pretend though. If I can't, I will not be crying. I better remain indoors with my husband. Well, if you're a person with the status of Meghan, you probably are a little bit familiar with the public scrutiny already. So you probably had an illusion that you can handle it. Right? You probably also know, maybe you had some media training, but you didn't expect that it wasn't going to be good enough, right? Some media training, how to address questions, how to handshake, you probably have all those things. And you're like, yeah, I can handle it. And I love it, right? Yes, you know, and then sometimes you're like, no, that's not a big deal, but it's actually a big deal that will haunt you, right? So Maybe that's the difference, Angeline. Let's continue the video small.
My mother was chased to her death while she was in a relationship with someone that wasn't white. And now look what's happened.
Did you all know that? That the person that the husband, the wife, sorry, the mother, Princess Diana, right? That they both crashed together. Did you all know that? That he wasn't white? What color was it? Or was he? I said it. That's how they probably think of the rest of the human beings, right? What color was it? Right? What was he? Like, he was a Spanish, I think it was a Spanish guy. The guy who was a fashion designer, tailor for the monarchy, right? Something like that. My wife was telling me that stuff yesterday. I forgot now. Oh, Lord. History was repeating itself.
You want to talk about history repeating itself? They're not going to stop until she dies.
They're not going to stop. He just said it himself. Until she buy. He just said it with his own mouth. That's the son of royalty. That's the prince himself who just said that. Now, is that smart or wise to say that? We don't know. There's consequences in life. And consequences don't always follow good intentions. I keep telling you that. You have to be wise. You have to be wiser than just knowledge. Okay? Knowledge is not good enough. Good intentions is perfect for you. It's not good enough. Okay? There's more to it. There's more to it.
It's incredibly triggering to potentially lose another woman in my life. Like,
there's somebody listening to this right now and they're like, wait. This is the bull crap that the therapist told him. None of this stuff is real. Right? There's somebody saying that right now. I guarantee you. Right? Let's see here. You're absolutely right about choosing our battles. Yes. All they saw was a black girl, so she wasn't a priority. This is why I tell my biracial son is black, so he can understand how the world sees him. That's a good one. It's a good one. Right, Ola, those tears are real, especially her being pregnant. I felt that statement. It's a difficult situation if you look at it both ways, from Harry and Meghan's perspective and from the royals. Correct. I agree 100%. All right. I beg, like, hit that like button. My brother Bio has been here all the while. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Good to see you. Right, Ola, he needed emotional support. Yes, it wasn't a tangible need of some sort. It was some kind of emotional support. And they're probably not capable of providing that. Just like a lot of husbands can provide finances, they can provide physical protection, even there's no harmware robber coming to rob the house. But emotional provision, emotional. Men are having trouble with providing emotional safe space for their wife and their family. They're misinterpreting that or misconstruing that with being soft. Right? When you say you're controlling, they think, oh, you're trying to say I shouldn't be controlling. They say, no, you already lost control. They don't feel safe around you. It's a matter of time. They already left your wife already left you. Right? Emotional intelligence, right? Emotional support. Learning that it's not necessarily about you, but it's needed. She can provide for herself financially. She can provide safety, security for herself. She can't provide emotional safe space for herself. She can't, because the surroundings can be a big catalyst for that. If she doesn't feel safe with the idea of being with you, she left you already. She's just waiting for the right timing. It might take 4 years, like it took Prince Harry, right? but they will leave. And they will say, hey, I don't know if it's the wrong move to leave, but whatever. I'll leave with the consequences. People have to wait sometimes until they get to that point and they give up and they're done. And once they're done for the most part. Why? Oh, you can't see it. You try to help. She just didn't want to help. We argued. But she just woke up one day and just left. It was just what it was, 80% of the time, women are asking for a divorce.
Oh, you're right.
You're still right. But you lost your family too. And I'm right on that. Why? Because you're not capable of providing an emotional safe space for your family. Until you assess that, you can't tell me I'm wrong. Let's keep going.
The list is growing. And it all comes back to the same people, the same business model, the same industry. Because my father used to say to me when I was younger, he used to say to both William and I, well, it was like that for me, so it's going to be like that for you.
How many of you ladies and gentlemen of prestige have experienced this? Your parents just couldn't relate with your emotional needs because they are looking at the physical aspect of things. Say, hey, I went through that. You're going to go through that. Right? But you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. He's supposed to make it better for me, right? Watch what he says next.
That doesn't make sense. Just because you suffered, that doesn't mean that your kids have to suffer. In fact, quite the opposite. If you suffered, do everything you can to make sure that whatever negative experiences that you had, that you can make it right for your kids.
That's subject to interpretation. Some guys will be like, the way I was raised is how I want to raise you. That's how I want to raise my child. Right? And the child is like, wait, they beat you up every time, so you're going to beat me up all the time? And he's like, no, I'm training you. So that's subject to interpretation, right? Right? This is how I was raised. I think it's a good thing for you, but he doesn't think that. So who's going to win? Bye. Right? He doesn't think that. He thinks, no, you're supposed to protect me and be better. Who defines that as better? Is it necessarily better? Well, I've been around for 72, or how old is King Charles now? 78, 72 years, whatever that is, right? I've been around for that long. I know what's better for you. You don't know what's better. You're just whining like a little bitch right now. Right? At that point in time, this is probably what King Charles was thinking.
Why are you crying?
Let's keep going here. He's a prince, but had a duty to do. It's a shame that this was his reality. I know. It is a shame. But maybe not personally. Maybe he's feeling a whole lot better now. Maybe he's had the peace of mind he's never experienced in his life. We don't know, right? Seen and experienced. I'm glad he got therapy. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the British upbringing. Two worlds collide, and you can't judge Kate and Meghan as the two different people with different mannerisms. Yes. I know beyond reasonable doubt that leaving was the last resort for him, and he had reached the end of the road. For a man like Harry, who was once a playboy, to take such a decision says a lot. Yeah, because he probably got a lot more access to the finer things in life, continue to be in that palace. But again, maybe he just didn't want the responsibility, right? Who knows? I refuse to elope. Okay, Shea Angeline. Someone impregnated me at primary 8 and was like, it's a shame for me to go back to school. Did you mean primary 8 as in primary 8? Is there a primary 8 in England? Where is this? There's no primary 8 in Nigeria, and there's no primary 8 here in the US. And was like, it's a shame for me to go back to school after 2 years of breastfeeding. I said, I must be somebody in this life. That is so awesome for you. I'm glad to hear that, Angeline, that you took care of yourself in that respect. But what is primary 8? Where is that at? In Italy? This is a great conversation, different views and all. I know, D'Souza. That's why we do what we do, right? The royal family can go and kiss Transformer, I Lucan, no baton. They are a bunch of gangsters and non-entities who don't add value to society. A lot of people feel that way. In fact, I saw a lot of the response from Nigerians when the Queen Waja, like, are you mourning? Are you a bastard? Why are you mourning? His duty to his wife and children, but he has a duty to himself. He does not look like the old Harry. He looks a loss. That's interesting. Look, I think I remember him a little bit when he was being the playboy, but again, man must grow up, you know. Who knows, right? It's good Harry is still working and living with his family. I miss the light in him. Oh, D'Souza, I know what you mean. Not really, but you're correct. He chose to leave, so leave. Stop talking about them. Stop milking them. The name. If I'm going to leave my family and step out and carve out my own life, it's consequences. She's divorced. Wow. You know, traditionally that will be judged, especially that monarchy will judge that one thing. As a matter of fact, that was why their great uncle never become the king. That's why their great grandfather became the king. But of course, things are changing. How long are we going to cry about things change?
Why are you crying?
Everything changes. The only constant in life is change. Everything changes. No, I wouldn't want to hear that he's done something to himself, but it's kind of back to me. It feels as though he's back in himself in the corner. I don't know. I could be wrong. Yeah, we all don't know, right? We have a whole lifetime to figure that out. Yes, Meghan has a child with her first... Wait, what? Look at even the way I reacted to that. She has a child with her first husband? She's after one? Irony. Are you serious, Angeline? Of course, that family will frown against that. No wonder she's going through all of that. It's sad. Because honestly, we're in the new times. That really shouldn't be much of a big deal anymore. But to that family, they're trying to uphold those old school stupid ass standards. If somebody had a past, they had a past. Why should that become who they are in the future? It's already who they are. If they are bringing value right now, they're bringing value right now. But hey, welcome to the real world. That's going to happen to you when you get married. Somebody's going to be extremely traditional and be judgmental, and it's probably going to be somebody you expect the least. Prepare yourself. Assume best case scenario, prepare for the worst case scenario. I agree. Very proud. Angelina, that's very okay. They responded to her. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much. Thank you, D'Souza. Angeli says, I'm very proud of myself, and even my parents are proud of me. So is my daughter, who is 15 years today. Oh, that's beautiful. One day I'll tell you the full story too. I can relate to you in so many ways. Yeah. He was Egyptian. Who was Egyptian? Oh, so that's not a white person? I guess not. Yes, I know he wasn't. I think maybe one of this Arabo guy. Those guys, they will sweep anybody off their feet. I was swindler. And he's a very rich guy. Al-Fayed's son, they're Egyptian. Oh, okay. That's the guy that... Did he die? He died in that crash too, right? You need to watch his mother's interview. They couldn't stand up to that establishment. The only way to get out of it is to remove themselves from such a terrible environment. Hey, I'm telling you, once all this ancient big, what did I look and say? Gangster non-entities, 100%. Guess what? Guess who else is like that? The United States of America. All right, I didn't say, let's not get this video demonetized. You know, gangster, like a good thing, you know what I mean? Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna find that video and watch that video. All the saga is just the rebranding of the royal family. Don't fall for this 419. Now, wow, hey, yes, I loved and still love my father. That God sent man stood by me and fought for me, advised. It's always good to have those good examples, because some people that may have other worst experience, they swear up and down that all men are terrible. So thank you for sharing that, Angeline. I look at your point could also be true, but it's very unlikely. Which part? That they're gangster? You can't be that big of a powerful force in the world without being gangster. It's just impossible. You have to be vicious, cold, blooded. All right, we're getting to it. I'm trying to see if I can get through your you guys said so much. Let's continue the video. That primary 8 cracked me up. I know, I'm trying to figure. Angeline didn't answer me yet. Is there a primary 8 somewhere?
We chose to put our mental health first. That's what we're doing, and that's what we will continue to do. Isn't this all about breaking the cycle?
I strongly believe in the power of engaging mental health. Mental health doesn't mean mental disease. That's not what it means. It means just being aware that there's such a thing as mental health, right? It means you should be aware that your mind, your brain, the way you think about issues, emotional, mental, spiritually, are the driving force of your life. You need to pay attention to it. Faith cometh by hearing. The kind of things you consume, the stuff you're feeding your brain from your ears, from your eyes, will control your life, particularly because of mental health. Your mental health will deteriorate depending on what kind of content you consume, or grow, or you could grow depending on what kind of content you consume. It's not a matter of choice. It just is. Just like there's physical health. Oh, this mental health BS, blah blah blah. Don't say that to yourself. You hurt yourself, because there's no better way to tell me that your mental health is declining. You really don't have that much power. Your power is learning how to navigate the existing power that already is. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It flows in the direction where it's going to be contained. We don't really control a lot. Do you wake yourself up in the morning? I doubt it. Like, hola, wake up. Is that what happens? Or you're dead for straight 6 to 8 hours, literally, and somehow you wake up in the morning. I'm just saying, you're not really in control. So if suddenly the idea of the awareness of mental health make you feel out of control, maybe you never had control. We're learning more and more about the human experience. It's a complex thing. Relax. Relax. Learn how to relax. You know, when you're swimming, right? What did they tell you if you ever learned swimming? They say relax. Because the moment you try to save yourself, you go just drown. Every single time. Undefeatable. Right? Let's keep going.
Isn't this all about making sure that history doesn't repeat itself? That whatever pain and suffering has happened to you, that you don't pass on?
That was the end of the video. So, that was the end of the video. Let me just let's I want us to make sure we because this has been another fantastic classic session. I think there's a lot of lessons that we extracted out of that. There's so many things we could relate with. In our own little bubble, you can relate. It's the same thing. We have a lot more in common than we actually. Most people will say, "Oh, you know, those people are too big. We can't know. We can relate." You live in a bubble, And the fact that you live in a bubble and you're not aware of it is actually destroying you. You need to be aware so that that's half the battle won. Just being aware, right? That's all you have. Just be aware that maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some things in my blind spot. It's not maybe. It's a fact of life that there's at least half of everything in your blind spot. That's a fact of life. So you always keep calm, humble yourself. This is why humility and the spirit of gratitude those are the two beautiful things that you can always implement in this life, and you will have a happy, healthy life. You feel me? So that's very, very important. I think there was some really, really cool lessons in that, right? Let me get through some of your comments. Then I have this one story that we can round off with today. That kind of pressure, let's see, that kind of pressure will take a toll on any man. See, one of the problems with men is that they think they have to have all the answers. That's one of the problems, you know. Let me see here. Harry and Meghan going to have to work really hard on their marriage. Yes, because just because they escaped now, it's not the end of it. Somebody's going to hold a little, because again, remember, a big part of their identity. That's one of the problems with eloping is. So it's going to have moments in the nearest future where he regrets the move. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, and he will question the decision to do that. It could be a moment where they're just disagreeing, maybe for a stretch of time. Maybe they're arguing about something, and he's going to question that thing, and he's going to like, so you think it was my fault? You think I didn't mean to do that? And yeah. So may God help them. It's not right and wrong. It's just life. It's just this journey called life. Sometimes you make a decision and you're going to get into some valleys and you question that decision, right? But then when you go past that valley, you're like, oh, after all, it was a good decision. But you're going to have those moments. And some people are not lucky to make it through those kind of valley. They would destroy everything they cooked up to that point because of resentments. So no, it's not as simple as, oh, he made the right move. He did what was best for him. We don't know what we don't know. All you can do if you really care about them is pray for them. Okay? She has a child. I didn't know that. Me too, I'm finding that out for the first time. In East Africa, we have primary school. Oh, East Africa and university. Primary 8 is the last class you attend. Have final exams to enter. Wow. I need to find that sound effect. I need to get that sound effect from Sahil. Wow. That's beautiful though. All right. I knew that was the case. Thank you for sharing that. I'm lost in 2022. What is being black? No idea. Jesus Christ. I know, right? Yes, he was Arab. His father owns Harrods, and they're very rich. Wow. I didn't know she has a child, but I know she was divorced. Please join the conversation. Share your thoughts, please. Thank you. In Kenya, we have primary school, secondary school, and university. Oh, wait. Okay. Well, we have secondary school in Nigeria, too. Brother Patrick, I'm a year older today. Happy birthday to you, sir. Happy birthday to you, sir. And tomorrow, 20-year wedding anniversary. Just learning from you today. Awesome. We definitely have to celebrate that, Brother Patrick. Good to see you, sir. Yep. His father couldn't offer him the emotional support. Yeah, that guy, he needs emotional support just to get the right date on the paper on the paperwork. He started cursing as a new king. So I beg, last, everybody go chop breakfast. He go do all right? We see this with a lot of men and women. They want the best for their children, but because they never experienced, they can't. He has no experience. I think that's what the other person was saying. Yeah. He doesn't have any outside experience of that bubble, right? So how could he really help? Think about it, right? And some of you need to forgive your parents. They couldn't give what they didn't have. You're hurting yourself more by not forgiving them. And I'm not trying to manipulate you into forgiveness. I'm trying to give you a reason why it's probably best for you to forgive, right? But just keep that. Some parents are just evil, but some of you, your parents couldn't give what they didn't have. Keep that at the back of your mind as you move through life. If you have resentment against your parents, it's tough. It's easier said than done. I get it. Right? It's the way man of prestige said the primary. Oh, okay. H&M said they wanted a quiet life living in the US and to raise their children normally without titles, but they hired PR, did interviews with Oprah and want titles. This is Ronnie Rule 22. Good to see you. I know exactly what you're trying to say. You're trying to tell them. Okay, I hear you very well, but I don't know. I don't think they're ever not going to be in the big lights. I think once you have people climbing your fence and trying to get pictures, I think it might just be a necessary thing to have PRs and still be able to make statements and things like that, right? And maybe they've deemed it that they can help some people with the interview. Who knows, right? But I don't think Oprah interview is the same thing as being in the monarchy. Yeah, I think I think they will probably receive that as complete disrespect by you putting that in the same sentence, right? All right, so here we go. Here's the story of the day that I want us to leave with. Okay, let's go through it together. Story of the day: should I stay or should I go? Okay, let's get through it together. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. My boyfriend doesn't like my job. I'm a model, and before we met, I used to travel and work all the time. He knew that when we met. Okay. We have been together for a year and a half, and in that time, I haven't traveled anywhere for work. Usually, when I travel for work, I have to stay for 1 to 3 months. That one a long distance, right? We had many discussions about it, and he said how that job will bring me nothing good. How he can't be in a long distance for a month or longer. How he already experienced all that, and it's pointless. Okay? But this job brought me lots of good things. Okay, so they disagree there, right? He said it's never gonna... Wait, let's go back for a second. He said that job will... He said how that job will bring me nothing good. But then she goes, but this job brought me a lot of good things. That's a disagreement, right? I've traveled and seen many countries, met some people who are now my best friends. The money is good also. Okay. Since we started dating and I haven't traveled and I have spent all of my savings, I'm left with nothing. I never ask him for money, nor will I ever ask. Our country is very bad economically. Jobs don't pay much. He works 2 good jobs and still doesn't have enough sometimes. Okay, so the jobs are not good and no good financially. Sometimes when we're talking with friends, he says how if someone offered him a job abroad, he would take it instantly. And it just makes me a bit angry. Okay. We were on a break for a month, and in that time, I got an offer to go and work in another country. I said yes, and I'm due to fly next week. We're still talking about staying or leaving, right? In the meantime, we got back together, and I still haven't told him because I'm scared of his reaction. Many people are scared of their partner's reaction, and there's no good that will ever come out of that. The longer you wait, the worse the reaction is going to get. Facing it with your full chest and saying something right now is easier said than done, but nonetheless, it needs to be done. Keep in mind, I really love him and he's very good to me, but I also need my own money for myself and to help my mom. Any advices on how I should tell him and what? and just an advice in general. So let me see what you ladies and gentlemen of prestige are talking about. Give this young lady an advice. Give her an advice. Let me see what y'all are saying. Let's see what y'all are saying. The hypocrisy of it all. I can't with them. Oh, okay. She's talking about the family. Try telling us here in the UK. We're just realizing this issue now. We're so behind. The stigma of mental health issues in the UK is slow. What is making progress? Okay, so I guess the question is from, let me see, there's a part where we've been together for a year and a half, and in that time I haven't traveled anywhere. We have had many discussions about it. Nothing good. Can be in a long distance relationship. How is already experience all that is pointless. But this job has brought me good things, right? Since they started dating, she has never traveled. So it sounds like this relationship has never seen her traveling. Okay, it sounds like a very young relationship with issues already. Sounds like she really needs the job. Sounds like whatever that job is serving in her life is not being replaced by anything from this guy. Even though actively she's still giving excuses for the situation. Right? Even though she doesn't feel free to tell him her mind. Nonetheless, she's going to give an excuse for the whole nonsense. Keep in mind, she really loves him. And she claims he's very good. Right? Have you ever found yourself in this situation? You know that something is off, but you keep giving excuses. But he's such a good guy. Or, you know, but my girl loves me. But you know that situation is just, it's not working out, right? Let's see. Give her advice. Let me see what y'all are saying. He meant it wouldn't bring him anything good. Oh, him. Thank you. Let me go look at that. You're probably right. This is why I need you all to help me. Let's see. I'm looking for it now. Let's see. Sometimes when we're talking, okay, our country is this part right here. Okay, so this part. Oh, so we had many discussions about it, and he said how that job would bring me nothing good. He was talking about him, I guess them, us, maybe, right? Okay, but that's what you said. He meant it wouldn't bring him anything good. He didn't care if she enjoyed it. Dump him, too controlling. Okay, all right, let me see. Yes, this guy is no good. He's trying to stunt your growth. Go take the job and keep it pushing. See, if they were married for years and stuff like that, I would say it requires a little bit more conversation, right? But it looks like they just started dating. And she hasn't even worked since they started dating. I wouldn't say he's no good. But then maybe he's no good. I'm thinking it, right? But let's see. If he doesn't support your dreams, he may not be the one for you. Leave. Okay, so now here's the question. The dreams or the mission as a family unit. When it's marriage, I wouldn't support this line of thought. Okay? If it's we just started dating the last 1.5 months, I absolutely agree with you, because there's a reason why you're finding yourself comparing. Because if this is a marriage, she probably wouldn't be asking this question. She'd be actively looking for jobs that will allow her to continue to nurture the family, right? At least it will be something they have to decide together. But it sounds like there's no foundation here. There's nothing solid. So I have to agree with D'Souza because of that, right? And if he's this controlling, and if he doesn't know his position, even this early in the marriage, it's going to get worse. So I agree with that. It's only going to get worse, especially if you're afraid to speak your mind, right? It's only going to get worse, right? Think it's just a speculation that Meghan has any child apart from the royal children. Oh, okay. Maybe it is. Her prince is even barely 2 years. And she does have, you can bet paparazzi would have pulled it out. I agree 100%. Bree, good to see you, Bree. Bree says, let him go. One of the hardest things for us to do as human beings is letting go. Right? That's one of the hardest things for us to do. So, yeah. But then she already let him go. Think about it. She already took a job. She has a flight date already. See, this is one of the problem with controlling men. The lady already left you years ago. The fact that 80% of them are filing for divorce right now is the least of your issues. That's the least of the issues. She was just scared to tell you that she left you years ago. She was trying to protect your feelings. Ultimately, she had to do what she had to do, whatever that means. Destroy the family structure, protect herself. Emotionally. It is what it is. She's having to make herself small to cater to him. And he can't replace what she's losing by giving it up. It's just too early. It's too early. Yeah. She's throwing Harry under the bus. We're still talking about Meghan. Right under that bus, right? Somebody's still listening to they post. She probably posted and she's listening to it. I ain't mad at you. I do that too. She loves who she wants him to be, not who he really is. We're still talking about Meghan. Oh no, she loves who she wants him. She loves who she wants him to be, not who he really is. All right. So let's talk about this letting go. Should you F off and just let go of this kind of stuff? I'll tell you what. It's a mixed bag. Okay? It's a mixed bag. Okay? It's just it's a mixed bag of all kind of stuff. And I'll explain what I mean to you. See, we don't know tomorrow. At the end of the day, we don't know tomorrow. We don't know the future. Right? All we can feel is what we feel right now. Right? And feelings are not always reality. Right? They're often not reality. You might feel like you're being smothered up, but it might just be growing pain. Right? It might just be pressure that's required to create that precious metal, diamond, right? And to make that judgment sometimes is not always easy. And sometimes you just can't withstand that pressure. And then you have to make a choice to get out of whatever that chamber is, right? Sometimes you have to, right? And sometimes you can see somebody next to you, they're handling it well, right? Almost just like, wait. But everyone's threshold is different from people to people. Everyone is different, right? So you can't really measure yourself against your sibling, or right? The only thing closest to that ever that you should ever be doing is maybe as a source of inspiration. Maybe somebody's doing well next to you, but try your best not to measure yourself against other people's path and journey. Sometimes you just have to make a choice and get out. But you have to be aware that there's consequences. The consequences can be negative, can be positive, right? if you could see, if you have the foresight to see 50 years down the line, if we could, we just make the right decisions all the time, right? But quite more often than not, we make the wrong decision. As long as you're willing to live with the consequences, right? You make the wrong decision based on how you feel in the moment. Your feeling is just about this moment. Your feeling is just about right now. It doesn't go beyond now, right? But the reality is real, right? So you can avoid reality, but you can't avoid the consequences of avoiding reality, right? The truth is that Prince Harry will never not be in the public eye. That's the truth. Especially that he's chosen to go and marry a Hollywood celebrity, right? At that point, I'm forced to say,
stop the cap.
oh wait, you're gonna move away from London, but you're gonna move into Hollywood, into the hills of the Hollywood. Oh, you are really trying to avoid the paparazzis, right? But like I said earlier, maybe it's still better than being in the spotlight of being a prince in London and having to be out there all the time, handshake. Some people just can't handle it. Like, you know, F that. I don't want to deal with that, right? But in our personal lives, we have things like that we have to make a choice sometimes. Make a choice. Make a choice. It's not always about right and wrong. Sometimes it's about right and wrong, right? But it's not always about right and wrong. Sometimes you just have to make a choice so you can get through the short term and mid term, preserve yourself, right? Because what if you can't make it to the other side because you're like, oh, long term, I'm just gonna, what if you die in the middle of the process? We don't know. But what if you survived, right? And everybody will hail and say, hey, Mandela, the Mandela of our times, right? We just don't know, right? Ultimately, what I can tell you is that mental health is key. I completely 100% agree with him when it comes to mental health. Do what's right by your family. Protect yourself. Take care of yourself mentally, emotionally. If you don't have peace of mind, nothing matters. If you don't have peace of mind, nothing matters. I don't care how rich you get. I don't care how much attention you're getting. Spotlight, Lamborghini, McLaren, nice, fine things in life, Rolex. I don't care. If you don't have peace of mind, it's all pointless. And don't look around you and say people are going to judge you. You know, outside of social skills, it doesn't matter who's judging you. Let them knock themselves out. But be aware that there's such a thing as social skills. There's a way you show up in public and it can hurt you if you're not aware of it. Like, we're not just going to like, you know, I could just do me. No, there's social skills. There's presentation. There's packaging. There's a way you present that benefits you. So let's not be stupid, right? And say, hey, I'm just going to act anyhow. Let's not do that. It's a balance. Okay? You shouldn't set up your life around, it's about making other people happy. No, you shouldn't. However, you should be aware that presentation is everything. You will be addressed the way you are dressed up, right? You know that saying, they say, dress how you want to be addressed. That's the reality of life. That's something you can't avoid. You can't, that's just how I feel. I just want to dress a certain way. To an extent, you can do that. To a large extent, it can hurt you. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm just going to leave it at that. Shout out to you, Patricia Black. Shout out to you. Thank you for participating today. D'Souza, the best mod on all of YouTube. Good to see you. Thank you so much for helping today. I don't think that's strictly true because modeling, you've only got, as you've got a shelf, like you can't model only. Okay, you guys are having your own discussions, I think. Shout out to D'Souza. Shout out to Ronnie. Good to see you, Ronnie. Please make sure you subscribe if you're brand new here. Make sure you subscribe. Okay. Shout out to Ali Ash. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to Bree. Shout out to Mehiroyo. Let me see what Mehiroyo is. I think it's just a speculation. Okay, yeah. Shout out to D Love. Shout out to Buki Ade. Shout out to Brother Patrick. Happy birthday, brother. Happy birthday. Angeline, shout out to you. Bukiade, I already said that. Quincy, shout out to you. Shout out to Nurse Rosie, good to see you. Ailu Khan, good to see you. Yep. Shout out to you, and shout out to everyone watching the rebroadcast. Shout out to you if you're watching the rebroadcast. I appreciate you. And I think this was another good classic session. I'll be back. What's tomorrow? Tuesday? I'll be back here tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. No, tomorrow's Wednesday. Yeah, it's still Monday here, but it's still Tuesday here. Oh, I'm losing track of time. Jesus Christ. Yes, definitely we'll be back here tomorrow. We're going to have another great session tomorrow, so make sure you stop by. Turn on your notifications. All right. And if you want to send me a question, you can easily send it to, let me pull that up to the screen right now. You can send it to questions@lolaandola.com. You can send your questions to that space. If you want us to address your question, we will leave out all the names and it'll be anonymous and all that kind of stuff. That good old thing, right? So, yep. So hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.